today's webinar, we're going to look at the history of the NAPA helpline. We're going to speak about maybe what is a helpline and breaking down them barriers, and then how to access the NAPA helpline and other support within NAPA. There's plenty of support here at NAPA. We have a multitude of resources and years of experience between ourselves and all the team combined. We're going to look at caring for your own well-being, and we will investigate the NAPA helpline and its extended service and the best way to use the helpline and know when to seek advice and support. We're hoping that the helpline will help you to understand how to deal with the challenges that you may come across, and we're going to hear some stories from people who have called the helpline or emailed or contacted NAPA, and how we can help them as well. And please do, as we're here today with this webinar, if you have any questions, everything is confidential. You can either put it in the chat box directly to myself or Hilary, or you can ask so that everyone else can hopefully jump on and join in and give some advice too. So I'm just going to hand over to Hilary, and we're going to look at the history of the NAPA helpline and how it came about. Hilary.
Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, so the NAPA helpline is not a new service. It's been an integral part of what we do at NAPA for many, many years. Over the last 18 months, 2 years, as we know, we've been through a period of particular challenge. And in July 2020, we actually asked for some additional support from the RAIN Foundation to extend the helpline, to make it a standalone service in its own right that could be accessed free of charge. So we have a free phone number. And so that we could develop the service, provide online support groups as well, either face-to-face online support groups through kind of monthly reflective practice sessions, but also through a closed Facebook page. So we've really extended kind of the reach of the helpline, and we've been actually really quite amazed by just how successful that's been. And all thanks, we have to say, to that initial kind of extension funding that we received from the RAIN Foundation.
Fantastic, and it has been real beneficial to the helpline and people that have used the service as well. So what is the helpline mission and statement? Well, at NAPA, the helpline aims to provide free, independent, impartial advice, support about activities engagement to people who are supporting individuals with care needs and support. This service delivers appropriate, clear information, and we do it in a prompt and empathetic manner to enable callers to make informed choices. So that's what we want people to do. We want people to discuss, chat, conversate, and then go away and make an informed choice with the information we provide. All callers will be treated fairly and empathetically, whether receiving general information or emotional support. And the NAPA helpline does not give clinical or medical advice, and callers will be signposted to their appropriate organisations for that type of help. But we still listen. We're still here. We still listen. So I think that comes nicely on, Hilary, then to what is a helpline and maybe what people would assume a helpline is. I think sometimes there can be some confusion between a helpline and a crisis line.
Definitely.
So a helpline is a service providing advice and comfort to people on the phone. It's an opportunity to gain some information, for us to signpost, for us to provide resources if we have them. Whereas, I don't know if you agree, Hilary, but I would say a crisis line is more of an emergency situation, someone that is at a point in life where they need some intervention, and that would normally be conducted by trained, qualified volunteers or counsellors, and most probably most crisis lines are a 24-hour operation service, whereas at NAPA we're here Monday to Friday in office hours, and sometimes we're obviously not available 24 hours a day, which makes us different to a crisis service.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to mention, Natalie, that we are part of the Helpline partnership. Yep. So that means that we are kind of we are recognised as a helpline that provides information and support. But what that enables us to do is to refer people appropriately to services that might be able to give crisis support or ongoing emotional support. So we have that network around us to support us, and that's really important. And you might not necessarily, and I think we've had this, haven't we, the callers who phoned up and they don't feel they are in crisis. Actually, they ring with a very real challenge at work. And it's only through the discussion that we've found through talking to them that actually they might need some additional support. So they don't necessarily think that they are in crisis, but actually through sharing their experience, it becomes apparent that they could do with some additional support that we might not be able to give them, but that we can certainly signpost them to other services. So I think that's a good distinction to make between kind of counselling and information and advice. And we are definitely an information and advice line.
Yeah, and confidential too. I think that's the other thing. When people call, sometimes the first point of call, you know, they are ringing about something and totally different, then we'll go off into a conversation. And sometimes you're asked at the end, you know, will my manager know about this, or, you know, will you tell anyone? And the helpline's confidential. You know, we are fully committed to making sure that the conversations we have are supported. You feel confident in being able to call us should you have any questions, and that information wouldn't go any further unless obviously there was a safeguarding concern, which we do have a safeguarding policy within NAPA as well.
Absolutely, which we can share if people need to see that. Yeah, absolutely. Good.
So one of the things was when I joined NAPA, and we spoke about the use of language and how sometimes the use of language can quite often confuse people. And one of the things that I come back to sometimes is that word helpline. You know, and how are people viewing that individual word helpline? You know, it's what other ways could we possibly look at the helpline service? And maybe if we just thought a little bit differently about what that could mean. And I was sat there thinking about this. I thought, well, we're many things here at Helpline Service. We're certainly not just a helpline. We signpost people. We give bags of advice. We love giving advice at NAPA. We've got lots of experience. We've got lots of knowledge to share. We have ideas. We have resources and support. And I sat and I thought to myself, Hilary, what if, you know, we just take that away, that word help, and we put in advice line? You know, would you feel more comfortable ringing if we put in ideas line? You know, I need an idea, I've got a tea party, or if I wanted some resources. And I sat and I thought about sometimes the language barriers that we often have, and just because something says the word help doesn't mean that you desperately need help at that moment in time.
No. It's much broader than that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's really important message to give, is that you don't have to be in crisis. If you are in crisis, we'll be able to support you appropriately, but you don't have to be in crisis. And actually, let's ring us before you're in crisis. You know, let's help you before you get to that point. And I think you're absolutely right. Signposting is key to that. But I also think that it is about listening. You know, it is absolutely, and it says listen. I think it is about listening. It says, you know, we signpost and we give advice, but we also listen. And actually, I think that's probably, you know, just as important, isn't it? You just sometimes just want somebody to listen that is outside of your organisation, outside of your network, but understands. And that is definitely, absolutely what the helpline's about. And I think the majority of feedback that we've received has emphasised that, hasn't it? It's been that ability for someone just to listen, perhaps give a little bit of guidance, but, you know, it's about having that listening ear. Great.
Yeah, and building relationships. Sorry, and building relationships as well. I mean, many of my callers, when they come through, and we get chatting, or it could be via email, we build some sort of working relationship where they will often come back, and you know, they will ask other questions, or they just want to chat and they just want to upload, and you know, it's really nice, and it can be very informal. We've had Zoom sessions together, so it might have started off as an email, turned into a phone call, then we're having a cup of coffee over Zoom for that 20 minutes, just for someone that's not in that environment, and you know, but has worked in that environment and can understand the challenges that they face. And then once it's done, they feel so much better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the barriers, I often some of the things you quite often hear when I've touched base with, you know, the groups that we have and other people I've spoken to, is the barriers that stop them ringing for support, advice, help, information, guidance, is, and I've listed some of them here, is I don't want to be vulnerable or ask others for help. Now, when I've written this, I did a bit of self-reflecting, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I am this person, I am this individual, because I don't like asking for help. I should know my job and I should know how to do this. But I always answer this, I always give the same reply, which is, you know, the best thing you can ever do is ask, because if you don't ask, you don't know.
Yeah.
And I just feel, if that is a barrier when you're listening to this webinar, or if you're thinking about, I just want to know how to set up a gardening group, or I want to know what training's out there, but I'm not quite sure, ask, you know, and we're not going to tell you you're wrong in asking that question. If anything, we're going to embrace it and be happy.
I think that is a really interesting point as well, because we know that activity providers by nature are people who are really creative and full of ideas, and often have done lots of their own learning, or they've had a lot of formal training in one way or another that informs their practice. And so there might be an expectation that that's been placed on them, not intentionally by their workplace or even by themselves or their colleagues, that they should have all the answers already. They should be able to think up an idea. They should know how to do something. And actually, as we know, having both been activity coordinators, that sometimes you just need to bounce those ideas around a bit. You need to talk them through, and you need to bounce ideas about. And I think for me that the helpline is very, if we could call it the bounce line, I would. I think it's, you know, part of that listening and that exchange. It's an exchange of ideas. We might not have all the answers, but actually what we can do is help you find the answers. And I think that's really, you know, that's kind of the point, isn't it? Is that we're all in it together. We don't want to be, we're not, you know, we are specialists, but actually you're the experts. You're the ones on the floor actually doing this work day in, day out. So, you know, it's getting that balance, isn't it, between saying it's okay to ask help, but also it's okay just to take my small idea and talk to somebody else about it, and hopefully that idea can develop into something that I can actually put into practice.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the same when it comes to, I don't want to be a bother or a pest. It's one of them scenarios. I wish I had £1 for every time someone said that to me in my whole working career, because I'm probably a very wealthy woman. I generally, and I know everyone at NAPA here, we don't believe anyone's a bother or a pest. In fact, we really enjoy getting them phone calls, receiving them emails, and letting us be creative as well. I mean, we're doing our day-to-day roles, which are fantastic and we love, but we love to be creative. That's how we all came to NAPA, you know. First and foremost, we're ACs. And so being able to go back into that and dip in and out and support, you're never a pest. And the last thing anyone wants to be is a burden on us as well. Absolutely. Total opposite for us at NAPA. We really enjoy you contacting us, and again, building them relationships up. I know someone like Sue has quite a lot of ACs that she's known throughout their careers, and you know, she has regular conversations with them, and she's supported and watched them develop and grow. So no, we really enjoy having a natter and a chat and bouncing ideas. And I don't want to be judged. We certainly don't judge, and I think this sometimes can also be a barrier for picking up and asking for help. What will you think? Will you think I'm incapable of doing my job role? Am I ringing? And you know, you might think it's a silly idea that I've got. Again, there's no silly question, there's no silly ideas, and certainly no one is judging. We've all been there, Hilary. I'm pretty sure you've had moments when you first started out as an AC and there were things that you questioned or things that you
more
did.
Than moments.
You're like, oh my God, have I just actually done that? Was that correct? Should I have done that? Next time I'll probably do a risk assessment. But again, unless people are there to help each other, bounce them ideas and support, you're never going to improve. You're never going to know that that's okay, or maybe you could have done it this way. But we certainly you'd never be judged. And then someone might find out I've called or emailed. We'll go back to the confidentiality again. It's something we're very, very passionate about here at NAPA. It is believing in people's confidentiality, and that trust. I think that's most important, is that trust element. And again, as I said previously, we do have a safeguarding policy if anyone needs to access that, but otherwise the conversations that we have are between ourselves, and that's similar within NAPA as well. You know, if you speak to one of us, that stays with us. And I don't have time to call. We do get asked sometimes, very rarely. I've probably had two actually, where the AC, as the person, the individual, sorry, has not been able to ring within the office hours. And we've been able to facilitate and support that, where I've been able to, and I know one of my other colleagues has as well, where we was able to have a meeting with them outside of work. And that was just a difference. You know, they finished their shift at 5 o'clock and they wanted to have a chat at 5:30. That was absolutely fine. So we can accommodate. So I don't want anyone to feel that they can't call within their working hours, that's then going to stop them being able to contact us, because
yeah. And I think as well, that's kind of where the email service comes in, isn't it? And our kind of online support group is that you can leave a message at any time, with a good time to call, and we'll call you back, and we'll find a way to do that. You know, we have set hours because we have set office hours, but that doesn't mean we can't be flexible within that. I think that's a good point. And I also think, though, that sometimes it's important to make time to call. So yes, we can be flexible, but you know, why haven't you got time to call? Prioritize this in your day, because it's important. It's important that you get that support. And your managers, you know, we've done a campaign to enable managers to learn more about the programme as well. And I think we've got a couple of managers here today actually on the webinar, so hopefully they'll have some questions too. But I think that's really important, that managers recognise that you need time to call us, that's part of your day, that is part of your development, and that's not seen something as something you shouldn't be doing as part of your shift. So I think there is a challenge there that we can help you with too. How do I say I need this additional support in a way that is going to improve and help your practice, not hinder it?
It's interesting you say that, Hilary, because I had a call the other day from a manager who was a new home manager. And you know, she'd come into the post and she knew we were NAPA members, she had the certificate, and she rung up and she says, I just want to know what you can do really for my ACs, and what you can. And we had such a lovely chat. We must have been on the phone for about half an hour, and we went through all the NAPA benefits, you know, the training, the free e-learning that we have, and the free e-learning for her. And she, at the end of the call, she said, this is absolutely fantastic, I'm just going to keep sending it to you. I said, that's fine. That is absolutely, that's what we're here for. It's part of your membership, and similarly for non-members as well. It's not just about the membership with the helpline, but it was lovely to hear that a home manager knew that if she was busy, if she couldn't give the time with everything that's going on, that she could just say, ring the helpline, ring NAPA, ask NAPA, see what NAPA say. So it's interesting you just said
it's
that.
Good. Yeah.
So the NAPA helpline and services. The NAPA helpline has developed over the years, and we've got lots of supports in many different areas. The first one I want to talk about is the Support and Share Network, which is a fantastic free service online, and it's on the third Monday of every single month, and it's supported by me and Sue. It is not, I'm not going to say it's run by me and Sue, I'm saying it's supported, because it's actually run by the ACs that attend themselves. And it was something we really wanted to give a voice and an opportunity to a group of ACs and share some good ideas. They have breakout rooms, so it's all confidential. Me and Sue don't go in them rooms, but where they can have a good chat. Because sometimes you might not be in an organisation where you've got other ACs that you can chat with and find out what's going on in the world. You might be looking work in a group, but you might be an individual AC at the same time. And carers have plenty of carers to speak to, and in the environment, but ACs tend to be on their own. So it's a great area to come to, just relax. We take away ideas, we craft, we create, and sometimes we play silly duck games. Next one is the telephone line, and then obviously the emails as well, and something new that we've started, which is the Zoom support. So we offer a half an hour booked in Zoom call should you need to speak to anyone. And then the Facebook support group. So we have a closed Facebook support group. I must say, I absolutely find it a joy at the end of my working day some days to log on and look at the work that the activity coordinators are producing, the sharing of ideas, the emotional support, the happy moments, you know, the videos. I could just go on. But what we're seeing in the Facebook group is more engagement and people supporting each other. So it's just another area where you can access. Yeah. Hilary, do you want to, is there anything you feel that from the helpline's point of view that I've not covered? Or
no, not at all. I think one of the things that in terms of how we might move forward is that obviously we're finding, and Natalie's touched on it a little bit, we're finding that we do have some people that like to ring more than once or twice and have that ongoing relationship. And so we, you know, there is obviously a need out there for ongoing support rather than, you know, a one-off call or whatever. So that Facebook group is a really good way, I think, of having those offline conversations almost anonymously with people. We're there to monitor the group, of course, but to find and meet other people doing a similar job, perhaps in a similar service somewhere in the country, that it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody you meet face to face. And then of course the support and share network, that is face to face, it is online, but it is face to face, and people can really meet each other and get to know each other in a smaller group. So I think it's about having that one-to-one support on the phone, kind of the in-person face to face support from the support and share network, but that kind of a bit more anonymous, but still sharing and supporting each other through the Facebook group. And we've really tried to kind of think of the different ways that people might access support and kind of develop the service really, to make sure that we are. And if you can think of another way, if anybody here today is listening to the webinar and they think, well, actually what would be good would be this, then please do get in touch. We are developing an app. We're also thinking about how we can develop a coaching model. So there are other services to come underneath the activity support service, underneath the helpline service, but we're open to ideas. We're absolutely open to ideas. We've done a lot of development work over the last 18 months, but that is ongoing. So it's not a done deal, it's not finished yet. We're always open to ideas and to development opportunities. So please do tell us what you think and what you need. Most importantly, tell us what you need. Thanks.
It's nice you've just touched on that, because I was just going to say, great minds think alike. We are always open to ideas. We would love to hear if there's anything you feel that would be a benefit that could help. So yeah, just same as what Hilary's saying, please do let us know. You can pop anything in the comments below, or you can send us something privately. So we're just going to look at the NAPA impact report. I'm going to let Hilary speak a bit more about this. It's a great report. It's we launched it a couple of weeks ago, was it about a week or two ago? Yeah. So I'll let Hilary explain.
So this is just a snippet really from a much larger piece of work, and you can access this on our website, or Natalie might be able to put the link into the chat. And this was the first time really we've developed an illustrated report in this way. So we wanted it to be really accessible so that people could see the kinds of impacts we are making across the services and across the kind of health and social care system. And this bit here that we've pulled out is just about the impact of the helpline over that 12-month period up until March 2021. So there'll be another report this time next year for this year. And it really just reflects on the period of time where we extended the helpline. So we made it a free service. We extended the opening hours, as it were. We employed a specialist worker in that role, first of all, a project worker to set up and extend the helpline, and then Natalie to manage it over the last few months. So this just gives you a bit of an overview, really, of the amount of contacts that we've had in one way or another, and the impact that we've made. And I think, you know, I don't know about you, statistics don't ever mean very much to me. Some people find them very impressive, but I think what really stands out for me is that people have need. There's been a need. There's clearly been a need, and people like to talk to each other, and to feel that they have a safe space to be able to reflect on their practice and to share some of the challenges. And the majority of people really that we hear from are activity coordinators. That's the vast majority. It says they're about 80% of our contacts. So that's calls, emails, or the kind of social media closed group on Facebook. And then kind of other care and support workers. So care workers, assistant managers, etc., and family carers. And you know, we have all worked directly with family carers as well as been activity coordinators. So yes, this helpline is for you, but also you might have family carers who would really like to know more about how to engage the person when they visit them, now that they can visit them again. Some of you might be in services where you're actually supporting people in their own homes. So this isn't, although the focus is on professional engagement, you know, if you do have family carers that you also think might benefit from the helpline, please do give them the number as well. And it's a free phone line, whoever calls. So just to make you aware of that as well. And I think also the resources, we've developed a huge amount of resources over the last 18 months, but many of those have been as a direct result of conversations that we've had with people who've used the helpline services. And we want to be responsive. It's really, really important to us that the information that we provide, the resources that we publish, are very much based on consultation with people who are actually, you know, at the coalface doing this work day in, day out. So it's relevant to them. And so any feedback, again, that you might have, or any gaps that you think there are, please let us know, and we'll do all we can to try and meet the needs that you have in your particular place of work. And I think the other thing just to mention really is that this is an ongoing, you know, we hope that this is an ongoing service. We had a year's worth of funding from the RAIN Foundation. What we've been able to do with bits of fundraising is to sustain that extended service, but we do need help too. So I'm sure Natalie's going to come on to that, but you know, this is a free service and we're a charity. We do need there's an obvious need, but we do need help to kind of keep this going. So we will come to that, I think.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Hilary. And I am one of them people that like to look at numbers, as you know. And the reason being is because to me it does highlight just what you're saying, is that this is needed. And without us taking them numbers, you know, we can't evidence that. But I just hope that if you're watching this, or if you're watching it after when it's recorded, that you just see the impact that we've had so far, and hopefully what we'll have continuing going forward will, and it is growing, it really is growing. So we're going to look at feedback, and one of the reasons that I've popped this in here today was because I think it's really important that we do capture this feedback, and we do reflect on the feedback, and you know, it's not always singing and dancing and positivity. You know, some people, as here, we have been in such a dark place the last few months. I'm scared for things opening again and what that means for our residents. I'm worried that now I must put everything back onto the planner, and yet it could all stop at any moment, or worse, bring back COVID into the home. We'll have so many residents. It just scares me. Having someone to talk to who really knows what it's like to do my job is so helpful. And calls like that tend to be more like what Hilary was saying at the start, which tend to be more listening, and working together and trying small baby steps around maybe just small implementation of processes or systems to help this coordinator not be overwhelmed, and to look at her own well-being as well, and not put too much pressure on herself of expectations. And then I love this one. Thank you for the rant. I remember this being said. Thank you for the rant. I really just needed to get that out of my system. Thanks for listening. And that really was how it was. You know, the individual had said what they needed to say, and at the end of the call, you know, it was really at the beginning, and at the end it was like, oh, just thanks, yeah. I needed that. And sometimes we have that in work, Hilary, don't we? You know, when I was working in a care home, we had a well-being space where if anyone wanted to go and sit and if someone was sat there, they wanted an ear to talk to. and you would go and sit there and you would have them moments, you know, and you'd walk away and feel so much better. But you know, it's not all been about this year. And one of the other things that I've put in is around equality, diversity, and inclusion, which is something we're really focusing on at the moment. Is I've seen some on your helpline group around LGBT plus activities. This is what made me call today. If it was not for the helpline, I would have just Googled, but not had the confidence to know if what I was doing was right. This particular individual, when I asked the question, where would they have gone today if they'd not phoned the helpline, that was the lady's response, was she was just going to use Google. But by sharing things in the Facebook group where we're promoting, again, please do use it. If you're watching this, please, if you've got permission and consent, please do share what you're up to. Where she'd seen a couple of the homes and it was something she thought of and she didn't know where to start. And I know it wasn't with a big pride event, you know, she just started, we looked at it and we started with conversations and something simple, and we went back to using the resources from the June calendar, which, you know, Mike Phillips from Mike Phillips Training helped us with. He's our advisor. So we was able to bring all that and have a really good conversation, and she took it away, and she did eventually come back to us. But yeah, so it's not just about things that are in the moment, it's also about everything within the home that you're working in, or your home in general environment. If you're a family member, you know, we've got one there from a lady in Barnsley. As we know, day centres or support centres were all closed, sadly, and that affected a lot of people around that few hours where they could socialise in a group. And this was right at the start of that, and she just said, you know, I didn't know what to do. I don't know how to keep him busy. You know, he went somewhere every day, and I went and did my thing. But now he's here, and I don't know what to do. And we was quickly able to give this individual, this lady, some resources, and her daughter helped. We sent it on email. But it's things like that. It's not just about a care service in general. It's the whole package, and we will try and help wherever we can. So that's just some of the feedback that we've had, and that is some. I say that very small. And then lastly, before it's Q&A, so if you do have any questions, can I just please remind you, you can pop them just direct to me and Hilary if you're a bit unsure, or you can do them anonymously. And then if you do feel confident, please do pop them in the main chat box. Your well-being. If I had one thing that I say on every single support email or call or meeting or when I'm listening, is think about your own well-being. And being positive is not always easy. Understanding when to seek support, and it's okay to ask. And that's what services like this are here for. You know, you will go and ask your line manager when you want to know something, or you'll go and ask a different department. And the NAPA helpline services are all of an extension of that, confidential, of course. And we might not be in your home or your building or your service, but we are here. We are at the end of that telephone, end of email, end of a Zoom. And we would encourage you to, whenever you're feeling like that, when you want to know something or you want a bit of support and guidance, come and speak to us. I love to talk, as you can tell. But do come and speak to us, and we're here. You know, we're here to listen, but you've got to start with your own well-being. Hilary, do you want to say anything on well-being, or are we ready?
I think you've said it really, Natalie. I think it has to start with us, doesn't it? You know, and I think what you've said about, you know, being positive isn't always easy, especially given the time that everybody's had. I think people are tired. You know, we're all tired, and it's been a really difficult time. And I think we have to look after ourselves. How on earth are we ever going to look after the people that we support if we don't look after ourselves and each other? So you might have a colleague who you think, I'm not sure I can offer an ear, but maybe they could ring the helpline. You know, this is for you, but it's also for them. You know, can you share with your colleagues, with your managers, with those family carers that you're also supporting? and say, you know, what about you? What about you? What about you in all this? Where are you in all this? And what you're doing to look after yourself. So absolutely, Natalie, I think that's the point well made. Thank you.
And then we're going to stop screen sharing. I think we'll go on to some. Have we got any Q&As, Hilary?
We've got quite a few, actually. I'm quite excited about some of them. So the first one is from Sarah. Sarah says she's new in post. So she's never been an activity coordinator before. She's new in post. She's just started. She's come from retail. So she's good with people, but she hasn't worked in care. Can you help me get started? She says.
Oh, of course. Congratulations on the exciting new role. It's always interesting to see, we've seen an influx of people that are artists at the moment coming into the AC role, but I'm delighted that you've started and you've come into the care. It's a great job, I can just say that. Yes, you can email or call the helpline. We have some useful resources to help you get started. The NAPA calendar is free to use. It's got an event for every day of the year throughout every month. We've also got the Get Creative with Tech resource. Now, I recommend this because, as many will tell you, in the last 12 to 18 months, coordinators have very quickly adapted to using technology. And it's also handy because everyone's kind of getting used to Zoom calls now. And also for entertainers, there's quite a lot of entertainers out there that are doing performances online. So Getting Creative with Tech is a great resource from NAPA. And then NAPA Life Story, that's another free resource, a fantastic tool for you to use, Sarah, because then you can find out about the individuals and you can create person-centered individual activity programs for them people that you're supporting. And then the other thing I would say is training options too. Have a look at training, discuss it with your line manager. We have some great training opportunities here at NAPA. I'm going to pop some Sue's email address into the chat box, and you can contact Sue and she will be more than happy to go over any training opportunities. And also, if you're NAPA members, there is an option to have free e-learning training for all care staff. So that's everyone that works in that building under that membership, whether they're night staff, whether they're housekeeping support, kitchen, and it's a basic introduction into activities. And there's one for home managers as well. So just bear that in mind. So, okay, brilliant. Sarah?
That's a brilliant answer. I don't think I've got anything to add to that one. And we've also got lots of comments saying very interesting, Natalie, thank you. And we've got Clive, one from Clive that says, do we need to ring during office hours? It would be easier to make contact after I finish work. I don't know, we did talk a little bit about that, Clive, didn't we? But do you want to just reiterate, Natalie, what the arrangement is really if people can't call us in office hours?
Yeah, of course. So the helpline is Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. We are flexible, as I said before, with a pre-booked meeting should you need this, and you can also book Zoom meetings, but email is a great way to contact us 24 hours a day, and we will reply as soon as we can pick up that email, Clive. But yes, please do give us a call. I keep saying it, please, I love to chat.
Brilliant, absolutely. Okay, and oh yes, there is a manager here. So this is Paul. He says, I'm a manager in a care home for people living with dementia. We don't have an activities coordinator, but all staff do activities, and my administrator books the entertainment. Would you be able to support me to speak to my manager about the importance of employing an AC? So this is a manager that wants kind of advice about speaking to their manager about why an AC role is important. I think I've got that right, Paul. I hope I've got that right. Please put us right in the chat if you haven't. But with similar, I think in terms of membership, we've certainly come across this issue, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And you know, there are some providers out there that haven't got ACs working in their homes. And can I just say, Paul, first of all, it's fabulous that your staffing teams and admin are so supportive of activities. That's like music to our ears. But the coordinator role has many elements other than delivering activities and just coordinating. The coordinator is an asset, I would say, to any service out there, whether you know, it's in a hospital, home care, whether it's in a care home, because your coordinators are the ones that are the leaders in well-being within that environment. They are the ones that will link you with your community. And while an activity coordinator might not necessarily be delivering an activity, they certainly will be the creative body behind what is happening, maybe sometimes in the background. But we support home managers, and we offer everything via the NAPA membership. We have, as I said a minute ago, we have free e-learning courses. And what I'll do is I'll pop a link to our NAPA's benefits. So if anyone's watching or you're here today and you're not quite sure of what the benefits are with NAPA as members, then you can access. I'll just pop
that's a really good idea. We do have a manager's pack as well, don't we, Natalie, that we developed at the beginning of last year. Again, just thinking about, you know, what an AC needs really in terms of support, and that can be helpful when you're recruiting as well. And if you do get to look for an AC, we can also promote that for you. We also advertise vacancies. So if you're looking for an AC, or you know somebody and you're struggling in your local area, we can help with that too. So do get in touch about that. And there is a couple of more. I'm just trying to pull out so because they're not similar. This one's from James. Oh, a bit different. So James is a care home entertainer. Hello, James. He says he works in Yorkshire and he's been visiting homes for 2 years. During COVID, he provided his services via Zoom. So talk about getting creative with tech. Would the helpline be able to advise me on how to talk to care homes about getting back to in-person concerts? So this is that transition, I think, Natalie, from entertainers to going back in. Actually, they went online, very versatile, but now how do we start to get entertainers back into care homes and having those conversations? He says, and yes, we did hear this too, James, he said lots of care homes banned singing altogether during the height of the pandemic. And we do know that was an issue that we had to really think about and develop some resources around. Any thoughts on that in terms of
I think
back into the care home for entertainers?
I think with the pandemic, obviously many homes sadly lost that vibrancy with their entertainers and the community connections. I've worked with many entertainers over the years, and I'm still friends with some of them. And I know how difficult it's been for you, James, from what I hear, from the people I speak to. But it's so nice to hear that you managed to provide and continued to provide something via Zoom. It's really important that you try and keep that connection. So I would start with re-engaging with your customer base, maybe more so the ones that wasn't able to access Zoom for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't have internet connection, maybe didn't have the infrastructure there that they needed. And also I would let them know the availability and what offers you have, keeping the option of your Zoom though. And the reason I say this is because situations do change, policies can change at any time, and it makes you more flexible. For you to be able to, if for whatever reason that the home is, or wherever you're entertaining is isolating, or you have to isolate, then at least you've still got that option where you can still keep working and you can still keep that consistency. Because I think we all know, don't we, Hilary, that individuals that we support, mainly in the care home sector, really look forward to that regular entertainer or a familiar face that they know, or a certain style of music or dance or artist, crafts coming in. And then the other thing I would say is NAPA, we have a registered suppliers list. Again, I'll pop the email in the chat box for that. And this can help you to connect with more homes and hopefully get your amazing self out there. I hope. I'm presuming you're a singer. I'm just
say, James, you tell us, put in the chat. It says entertainer, but I think it says he's in Yorkshire. And of course, one thing to add, I think, Natalie, which I think is quite important in the current climate, is of course you could be in Yorkshire, James, which is a big county. It's my home county, you can probably tell by by my flat vowels. I think, but you know, you might be able to go into a care home in Scarborough, but you can't go into a care home in Wakefield, because actually, and that's just examples, I don't know what the situation is in Scarborough and Wakefield at the moment, but actually just from North Yorkshire to West Yorkshire, and very specific localities and outbreaks within those localities. So you know, that blanket approach of I've got to be in Zoom right across Yorkshire, talk to your care homes, talk to your services that have been used to commissioning you, because even, you know, the situation is changing. It really is changing, and many outside activity providers are now going back in. But of course, it can all change very quickly, as we know at the moment. So keep in touch, I'd say, keep in touch. And yes, yeah, let them know what you've been up to too, because again, it's that two-way relationship, isn't it, which is lovely. And the other thing, of course, is if you're doing Zoom sessions, you can open it up to lots of care homes, lots of services, not just that one service that perhaps used to go into, but actually they could all come together. So there are other ways around it as well, aren't there? But if we haven't completely answered the question, give Natalie a ring, and I'm sure she could talk to you about other options there. And we've got have we got time for two more questions? We've got two more.
Yeah, we can go with two more.
This one is from Lisa. I'm struggling at the moment. So this is similar actually in some ways to what I was just saying. One moment we're open and the next we're closed. It's quite hard to plan, particularly activities that might be about going out and about. Because taking people out and about obviously can be difficult at the moment. Do you have any ideas?
Yes, of course, Lisa. There's a famous saying, and it's, you know, we can all be in different boats, but we're all in a similar storm. And there is quite a lot of conversations around this that I'm having, as you've seen in the feedback on the last couple of slides, where you know, we've got this anticipation around planning, and then it all comes and unravels. So I can fully understand, but we're also coordinators, and I'm pretty sure that yourself, Hilary, anyone else listening, we've had to jump to plan B, C and F before, and we've managed it somehow. You know, I've had an event on where we had the projector and it wasn't working, and had a full Grand National going on. And I was like, oh gosh, how are we going to do this? So what I would, if I was going to give you some support, I would say if it's about going outside and outdoors, think about putting some packs together where you could have a kit that you could bring out if that walk was cancelled for whatever reason, and bring some of the outside in. So that could be some fresh flowers, some foliage, maybe turn around the session on discussing. I mean, we've got a great sensory resource out, and we've got a great sensory training day coming up, but maybe turn that around. So, okay, they might not be getting out into the community like you expected, but at least you can bring the outside in. And also, if you was having some sort of event, maybe, I don't know, a singer coming in, and it was an Elvis themed, let's just say, if that singer wasn't being able to come in, making sure that you've already communicated. James, was it? Sorry, yeah. James, I hope that's right. Yeah, James, yeah, who, as an entertainer, maybe could work with the coordinators and plan a B. So the A is the coming in. If anything changes last minute, that you're all set up, that you've got a Zoom that you can fall back on, and maybe put some packs out and information about Elvis around so that people can read that as well. And just try and have that plan B and C to back up on. But I really do understand how you're feeling at the moment, but things are changing, like Hilary keeps saying, things are changing, and it's about taking them little steps and not trying to get back to 100% of where we was pre-pandemic, but think about the other tools that are around us that we can use and just turning it around. I think, Hilary, yeah. Would you say?
Absolutely. I think we always have to have a plan B, don't we? And as you say, sometimes C, D and E and F as well. And just I think that the comments about things changing and just picking up on what we talked about before about the singing issue. We do have some guidance actually around safe singing, don't we? Singing in tune, and again, that's on our website, and we'll post the link if Natalie doesn't have it to hand. But that's been we've had a lot of really helpful feedback about that. And again, if there's a specific issue that you're thinking about, Lisa, that keeps changing, we know that singing's one of them. But if there is another one, please let us know, and then we can work with partners to make sure that we're all giving a really similar message. With the safe singing guidance, we worked with the Musical Care Task Force, so that involved Live Music Now and Music for Dementia, the National Care Forum, Care England, NAPA. You know, it really was about those leaders in kind of care provision and activity and engagement coming together to agree a position that reflected the current guidance, but was also kind of understandable and accessible for people who are providing care. So anything like that, do let us know, because you know, there may be a gap that we're missing, and we'll do all we can to help you.
I think we might reshare that one actually in the group now that I'm thinking, especially with it coming up to winter, and you know, I know that our singing groups tend to be more prominent in the
of course,
dark months because it's an indoor activity. So I think that's a good point, Lisa, actually, and thanks, Hilary. I think I can share that.
Brilliant. And I think this is probably our last question given the time. This is from Gemma, and oh, this is lovely. Gemma, you mentioned fundraising. I said we needed help. We do need help. Can you tell me how we could support NAPA, as I would love to help, she says. Thank you, Gemma. NAPA have helped me so much this year. Thank you to the NAPA team. Oh, and now we're at it.
I know.
How could Gemma help? And as you said, you know, we do have various, and I'm sure you're aware, those of you who are members or you're signed up to NAPA News, there's loads of ways you can help. But anything particular, Natalie, that Gemma might get involved with?
Yeah, apart from making us teary and emotional, I think that's lovely, and I think that's one for the team meeting, that, Hilary. Lovely feedback. Thank you, Gemma. It means so much. I mean, as mentioned, we are a charity, and to continue the helpline, the fantastic free events on Eventbrite, please do head over. The resources, the calendar, we need to continue promoting this importance of helping us to fundraise. We have a fundraising resource. It is packed, and I mean packed, with information, ideas on how to support NAPA. And we also have donation options on all NAPA events, including today, which the Eventbrite webinar training, and we'd be delighted, even if you just donated the price of a cup of tea. And one of the new things we've just introduced, Hilary, which is going down really well, is the opportunity to win a NAPA fundraising t-shirt for being fundraiser of the month.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to pull it off now, just while we're there, Gemma. Just bear with me a second. I'm going to pop the fundraising guide here in the chat. Please do have a look at it. It literally, I mean, we know, Hilary, because you know it's our resource, but it has got so much information in it, things that I've never even thought of when it comes to fundraising. But it is vital that we continue with that. There's a lot there, isn't there? And NAPA News, which goes out twice a week, we have once a month is a fundraising special. So there's lots of information in there about fundraising generally, but obviously also fundraising for NAPA. So please keep an eye out for that as well. And our current campaign, which is our auction, if anybody would like to hear more about our auction, you can find all the information out about that on our social media and on the website. So and this is how you could I do apologise. I do apologise. I'm lost.
We were doing so well.
I know.
And this is all our kind of text to donate information as well. From as little as £1 up to £10. We're not asking for millions, unless you want to give us millions. But with this, every little bit helps, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think, Hilary, we've covered everything we wanted to chat about today. I do just want to end by saying thank you to everyone that has been part of the helpline service, that has supported, already donated, fundraised, and also everyone that's picked up a phone, typed an email, joined us on a Zoom, downloaded our resources, joined an Eventbrite session. You know, it makes us know that we're doing something right, that what's needed is out there, and we're supporting you as best as we can. please keep posting and telling us in the Facebook groups. We love to hear happy stories like Gemma, and you know, the other side of it as well, where you just need someone to listen to you, because we're here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Natalie, and thanks to Natalie for all that you've done over the last 6 months that you've been with us to support and develop the helpline. So I think that's probably all for now. Do keep in touch. We've got Tea Tuesday every once a month, every first Tuesday of every month, so please do keep in touch and come and see us there, as well as all the support and share network and the various events that we've got listed on Eventbrite. But I think it's bye for now. So thank you all. Take care and goodbye.